All right, hello there, thrill seekers. Today I am in Turku, Finland. Turku. I'm not sure how you pronounce it in Finnish, but I'm in the city of Turku. And tomorrow I'm starting my annual Zazen retreat at Lammi Zen Center, the one that was attacked by an arsonist last year. So hopefully we won't have any arsonists this year. So I thought I'd do a brief video and talk about something that's come up in conversation since I've been here. There's a group of Finnish Zen people who actually are people who come to my retreats every year, and they have an online Zen Zazen thing that they do every morning at I think 5:25 in the morning Finnish time, where people who are in Turku and Helsinki and maybe some other cities, I'm not sure, in Finland, they all turn on their computers at the same time, point the computers at their sitting spaces, and sit zazen together like this online. And I've been aware of this sort of thing for a long time. I can remember this is when I was still living in Japan, hearing about people doing this, and I moved away from Japan in 2004, so that'll tell you how long ago that was, at least 19 years, and probably it was earlier than that. I think they were using Skype at the time. I think it's more trendy these days to use Zoom than Skype. It depends on how much you want to support the Chinese government, I suppose, as to what platform you want to use. And I think I have this vague memory of hearing about something even before this, where people were using the technology that was available at the time. I don't think you could even get a nice video call, but they were sort of deciding, if I remember right, to all sit at the same time, and then maybe they were emailing each other after or something like that. Somehow they were confirming that they were sitting together. And the idea was to sit together sort of virtually, even though they weren't in the same physical space. And I've said a few things that I've realized that people are interpreting as me being against that sort of thing, or like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Like, that's a bad thing to do. And I don't think it's a bad thing to do. I think it's a good thing to do, really, in balance. If you're a working person who's got a job that you have to go to every morning, and maybe you've got a family or something, there's no way you're going to get up at 4:30 in the morning in order to be able to get in your car and drive across town and sit with the Zendo, which is however many kilometers or miles away, and then try to also then get to work on time, and not miss work on some random weekday. There's no way you're going to do that. But you might be able to manage to get up, not quite that early, but early, and sit online with other people. And sometimes it can be a great motivator. There's a lot of people who ask me about how do I get motivated to do Zen practice every day, to meditate every day of any kind. And a lot of people have trouble with that motivation. And if this kind of online community helps you get motivated to do it, I don't see anything wrong with it. I've joined a couple of these things once or twice. I've joined the Finnish group a couple of times, I think. I'm not sure how often, not very often. I remember one time I joined them from Los Angeles, and it was a very awkward time of day. It was hard to sort of figure out how to work my day around, because it ended up being like 4:30 in the afternoon or something weird like that, which is I'm used to doing zazen in the morning and zazen before going to bed, so trying to make it squeeze into the mid-afternoon when I'm doing other things, it wasn't really convenient. But that being said, it's fine. I think it's fine. The problem I have with it, because you knew there would be a twist to this somewhere, is when it comes to somebody like me doing it. This is where I have issues. Because I remember when I first heard about somebody who was, I don't know, not that well known, but trying to be a sort of a famous Zen teacher, offering online Zen with him. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, because he's sort of, the idea of this was that it wasn't that you just got to sit Zen together with people, but you got to sit Zen with the famous person, with the great master, because the great master was going to be, making himself available online. And I can see this, on a weekday morning when you're not going to do any other sort of Zazen anyway. Okay, that's great. But most of us, okay, I'll give you my own personal example. When I was a working person in Tokyo at Tsuburaya Productions, there was a group that sat on somewhere in Tokyo at like 5 a.m. every morning. And given where I lived, I thought, well, I could just make it. If I did this scenario like I told you, I'd have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and try to get on the train and get down to the place where it was happening, and then get out of there and pack in the next train and get to my job. And I was just like, well, I'm not going to do that. That sounds miserable. But Nishijima Roshi offered Zazen at 1 p.m. on Saturdays. And really, I had no excuse there. I can go to 1 p.m. even though I work and have all these other responsibilities and things. I can come out at 1 p.m. on a Saturday. Then, see, this is what I think happens, is that it starts off with being kind of an adjunct or a way to do Zazen when you might not do it at all, but then becomes kind of a replacement. And people who have a perfectly available place that they could go sit on, for example, a Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. or something easy for any working person to do, they don't do it because they'd rather sit with the famous person. So this is what would happen, I think, if I started offering online Zazen, because I have books out and I have this name known and I'm kind of have this internet fame and whatever, not huge level, but some of it. People would be inclined to forego their local Zen center or local meditation center and then instead transfer it on to me, because it's more special to sit with the famous person. And when I see all these sort of famous people doing that, I think, oh, this is kind of siphoning off this energy that could be going to sitting in person. The other thing that I see being kind of promoted is the idea that it's the same thing, that sitting Zazen online with the famous person or not famous person is the same thing as sitting in person. I think even San Francisco Zen Center was trying to promote it that way. The third Zendo was going to be this online Zendo. So they were going to have a physical Zendo in one place, another physical Zendo in someplace else, and then the third one was as if it's equal to it. And I think if there's anything we've learned in the past 3 years, is that this online education thing, this is kind of a similar sort of thing, is not the same. My wife works in education. She was a teacher for many years, and now she's what do they call it, educational coach or something like that, a teacher of teachers. But the point is, she's often in her job asked to be a substitute teacher. And in the years 2020 and 2021, I was often a witness to her substitute teaching online. And I could see that these kids were not engaged. There might have been, every once in a while, I could look over on the screen and one kid might be engaged with what she was doing. The others were just sort of spacing out and, And there's a reason that in-person education is a thing. If there was a substitute, an adequate substitute for in-person education, it would have gone away a long time ago. Not just 5 or 10 years ago with the rise of internet communication and these kind of face-to-face things we get on our phones and whatever. It would have gone away when the printing press became a thing and there was widespread dissemination of books and high literacy, I don't know, a couple hundred years ago, whenever that became a more or less universal thing. Because why not? Why do you need an in-person teacher Now, when you can read the great works of Plato and Shakespeare or whoever, you don't need. There's no need for an in-person teacher when you can go with the greats and learn directly from them through a book. Or it would have gone away, in-person education would have gone away with the rise of radio and the rise of television and things like this. A lot of people I remember seeing, and you can still see these things archived on YouTube, these people who were very excited with television, that closed circuit television was going to make teaching in person unnecessary anymore. And of course that didn't happen because we saw the value of in-person teaching and in-person learning and in-person face-to-face, actual face-to-face communication, not this kind of fake face-to-face that you get through a computer screen. And that's what I worry about, is that people take it as a substitute or take it as something that's just as good as the face-to-face thing, and why not just do that? Or they think, well, I could go to, Tom's Zen Center or whatever. I don't know if there's a guy named Tom with the Zen Center, but I go to Tom's Zen Center in Orville, Ohio, or I could study with the famous Brad Warner online, And I'd rather people go to Tom's local Zendo in Orville, Ohio than study with me online, because I think they would get more out of it. Because the local person is the person who actually has a connection with you, a karmic connection, if you will, with you, because that person is in your area right there and they have a natural affinity with you. And then there's something about the face-to-face communication that you cannot substitute. For example, I'll give you an example right now. You might think I'm fully dressed, but I'm still wearing my pajama pants, and you can't see that. And that's, to me, a kind of a metaphorical example of what can happen. A lot of things can be hidden in the online experience that are not hidden when you're face to face, and so there's so much more. There's this whole universe, I feel like, of communication that gets lost when you're just trying to do it online, that you would have face to face. If you were face to face with me in the room, you could clearly see that I'm wearing pajama bottoms, and you could smell that I'm maybe kind of stinky or something. I don't think I'm that stinky right now, but if I was, you would smell it. I remember one time going to Nishijima Roshi's place and having a conversation with him, a sit-down conversation, and I noticed on the desk in front of us was a teacup with a dried out old tea bag in it, and there was some underwear drying behind him that was on a laundry line, and it gave me something about that gave me a sense of him that I wouldn't have gotten if we would have been online and trying. He could have hidden that. He could have just put it all to the side and made it all beautiful, the way I'm not showing you that I'm in my pajama bottoms. And again, this is just a metaphor, but there's all sorts of things that are really undescribable and kind of unnameable that happen when you're able to communicate with somebody face to face in the same room, in the same physical space. And I think that is really, really important. And again, if there's anything the last 3 years have taught us, it should be the tremendous, tremendous importance of face to face physical, actual contact with real people in the same space, in the same room, unfiltered, unmasked, right in front of you. I think that is really important, and that's what I think is getting lost if you use this as a substitute, if you use this kind of online Zen stuff as a substitute for that. I could even see myself, maybe if I wasn't so lazy, doing an online thing every morning, because I sit every morning anyway, so if there was... I wouldn't be able to set this up because I'm too stupid. But if somebody could figure out how to set it up so that I could, switch on my computer and then people could sit with me virtually every, Tuesday through Thursday or something like that, I could see doing that. But what I would really want to avoid is any sense of like you're using this as a substitute. That's what I'm against. So, as far as the thing itself is concerned, as far as online sitting itself is concerned, great, do it. If it helps you get motivated, if it helps you get sitting, then it's a good thing. I just don't want to see it be a substitute for the real thing and kind of supplant that. Anyway, here I am in Turku, and it's nice. And I want to thank my friend Rob because he paid for this Airbnb, which I could never have afforded on the kind of pay that I'm getting. I did a talk last night in Turku, and I cleared 32 euros. So that's kind of, or maybe it was 34 euros. So that's kind of the margins I'm working on these days. So I can't afford things like Airbnbs for myself, but Rob was kind enough to get me one, and that's very nice of him. So if you want to donate to helping me keep doing this stuff, you can go to the URL that you're seeing on the screen below, which is Hardcore Zen. Where is it? hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts. Those are my main ways of making a living, and I appreciate your support. But as always, you don't got to support me if you don't want to. Okay, and I have 2 more events here in Europe. I'm starting the retreat in Lammi in Finland tomorrow, and actually I talked to a guy yesterday, and he said, oh yeah, they're accepting last minute. It's actually fairly full. We've got enough people, an adequate number of people, but they can still take some more. So if you want to write to them and see if you can jump in there in the last minute. And then the next thing is at Benediktushof in Bavaria near Würzburg, Germany. I don't know if they're accepting applications anymore, but you can try them. So please feel free to join any of that. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye.